All right, welcome back to the Father's Guild podcast. We have a super amazing special guest. I'm going to quickly introduce him, and then if I miss stuff, he can always throw it in there. We have Erich, whose name I've spelled incorrectly 3 times now, but it's Erich Leidums. He on Instagram is That Mountain Life. He's an unschooling extraordinaire, father of 3 amazing, badass kids. He does some RV living in the mountains and homesteading, and he actually runs a super inspirational Instagram account to me. Like, I watch it and I'm like, dude, this guy is rad. And I actually don't remember how we originally got connected. I probably reached out and was like, you're rad. And he was like, thank you. It's weird for you to randomly reach out. But that was, we've chatted a few times over the internet. And I think one of the things that strikes me about him the most that I enjoy is like, he seems really level-headed. Like it seems very practical and logical, all of the things that you're doing, which is funny to me because when I see people comment on your posts, they're like, they're so mad, and you get more hate than I think is remotely required for what's going on there. So I just want to say thank you, Erich, for joining us, and we'll start it off with I want to know the story of how you ended up living where you're living and doing what you're currently doing. Where did that all start?
Our RV living.
Your RV living, and then the whole mountain life stuff. Where is this from?
Yeah, I grew up in Ontario, Eastern Canada, and I had a summer camp. Not the fancy, expensive summer camps, but day camps, and got to go to a subsidized summer camp. And I just grew up in the outdoors all around me, a beautiful area, kind of like cottage country. And so I just knew I had a connection with nature and an outdoor lifestyle. And I grew up skiing in a little mogul in Eastern Canada. And I used to watch Warren Miller films. I don't know if you're familiar with that. He's the ski godfather of
Yeah.
Funny ski movies. And I just knew I wanted to head west for skiing. And so the head west young man, it was to build a lifestyle around skiing. I wanted to be able to ski on Mondays when everybody else was going to work Monday to Friday. Or an office job. I just kind of wanted to build a lifestyle around being able to ski midweek when it's not busy. And so that's how I've structured my life. It's a bit Peter Panish.
Sure.
A sense of you're chasing kind of leisure and recreation and
Sure.
fun, which I don't think is wrong in a nutshell, but or in a vacuum. But if that's all you're chasing and focusing in life.
Well, when did you grow up then? Because you have 3 kids now, and I think that there's emotional sides to not growing up in that Peter Pan world that we talk about with these grown adults who are still children. But it's not in that your Peter Pan that you're describing to me is somebody who's pursuing adventure, not necessarily pursuing complete lack of responsibility. And you've clearly taken on board responsibility, becoming a father and a husband and a homestead. People are like, yeah, homestead's easy. It's no, dude, there's so much involved in the responsibility you take on there. It's just those choices. So when did you start to grow up in that way?
Honestly, when I was 26 years old and I became a father,
Okay.
I got my first job as a paramedic. That was the first job not in the outdoor adventure tourism industry. It was a bit more stable in the fact that I didn't have to go on a 30-day river trip to make any money and disappear. I wanted to be more present.
Yeah.
But yeah, fatherhood's a trip, as you know. I mean, by your content, that's the reason we connected, is just you put out some great in-depth content on and reflections on fatherhood. And so that was my start of it, but I'm still growing up. My kids are still helping me grow up. And so an extension, just to finish how we ended up in the RV, the short answer is my wife's dreams, my wife's intuition, what she's orientating to for what she feels would be healthiest for our kids. And it just lights me up to make that happen. So we bought land. I mean, land in most mountain towns and especially ski towns is not cheap. So we're by the river. We're somewhere it might flood. We'll have to build up. We don't have money to build a house right now, and that's fine. But we raised 2 piglets and put them in our freezer last week for the first time. We've got a garden. Next year it's going to be 3 times bigger. We've got 30 chickens, 5 ducks, a dog, 2 cats. Nothing crazy. I don't want to have to winter mammals in a barn anytime soon. That's kind of my line right now. But real food. Kids are getting dirty, soil under the fingernails. We're just 8 minutes out of the town that we've lived in for the last over the last decade.
I think what you're describing is a lot of people's current dream. But it seems so far off, and you've just kind of been someone to take initiative there and actually go do it, which is amazing. And I look at it and I'm like, dude, good job. I have a similar setup here, but I'm like 20 minutes from town and it's a lot warmer in California than, than it is where you are. So like weathering mammals throughout the winter is not something I have to think about. But I love what you're doing and how you're doing it and like your reality around it all. We'll dig into some of the kids and like homeschooling and like kids getting dirty and being adventurous in a second. But you've mentioned your wife a couple times. She is not present on your social very much. And that seems like by choice. And that's amazing. But do you mind telling me your story of meeting her? Cause she sounds awesome. Like or maybe even like how you met her or like what the changes have been like for you as a man, like being married to her and finding this person.
Yeah. She's incredible. I mean, she's honestly a rock star, and it's been great. It's honestly probably one of the ultimate adventures. I mean,
Okay.
being with somebody in that on that level, and you just continue to be able to go deeper and deeper.
How long have you been together?
Uh 13 years. We have a 12-year-old. So I actually I have I don't know if it's called a mountain love story on my YouTube channel. It's not long. It's a short. It was actually for a contest. It was kind of my early YouTube video editing, creating, or video days. I'm 7 years into the content journey, and this was probably like in year 2 or 3. I made this mountain love story video, and we were not like, I knocked her out. Like she thought she couldn't get pregnant. We were in a ski town. I mean, she was an awesome girl. We had a bit of a winter fling. It was like a ski town thing. And then I was footloose and hitchhiking around. I was a bit of a nomad, and I was like, I'm taking off in the summer and doing my thing. We reconvened the next fall in the same ski town, and it's Fernie, British Columbia. I don't mind sharing that. Awesome interior British Columbia town. And anyways, we picked up where we left off, and we conceived a child like pretty quick. So
Whoa.
yeah, and that forced me to grow up too, and like take responsibility for my actions. And
Yeah.
it was a surprise and a shock. She was very convinced that she couldn't get pregnant, and I trusted that. And it's obviously we have 2 more kids later. We were a family of 5, and
Right.
she's a rock star. Her maternal instincts, and she was like me as well, like a mountain girl, here to ski, have fun. She's a teacher by trade, and she instinctively wanted to do something different with teaching. She didn't like being inside all day with the kids, and so she founded an outdoor forest school program. Kind of built it for our kids when our oldest would have been 2 or 3, and it's for ages like ages 3 to 7 is sort of the preschool grade 1-2 age. But so she's awesome, and together we make a really great team, and I'm really grateful for our stories clashing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm assuming that throughout the years there's been things that didn't go as smoothly as others, and there's growth that you've had to do. But if I had you kind of reflect back on your relationship with her, is there anything that jumps out as like a pivotal moment for you that you were like, I need to be different? I mean, not just having the kid, but like something where it's like a bit of growth that you had to go through to continue to be the man that she needed, or anything like that. Does anything hop out? And you can say no too.
No, I mean, I think lots pops out. I don't know what to narrowing. Because like honestly, she helps me grow and be a better man. And just generally speaking, the area of struggle that I have is like I'm really cognitively, or I enjoy learning new things, and I get little aha dopamine hits if I get especially a concept in leadership and relationship sure. Health and like being a father. I love taking inspiration from people like yourself and other authors and speakers and thinkers, and it's like I crave that to be better, and then it's just like, man, I can like hear all the things, learn all the things, and then it's just like I struggle putting it into practice sometimes, right? The pause. Sure. I saw a recent reel of you talking about the pause instead of like the reaction, right? It's like that's something that is an ongoing journey that I think all humans have, and fathers can benefit from growing. Instead of reacting, that first emotional response, just slowing down. And so Courtney is a constant inspiration in my life to just slow down and to be more present. She calls me to be more present.
I love it.
Just through her intuition and instincts. So that's awesome.
I made a post a while ago that I was reflecting on the freedom that the mental freedom that being in a relation like a real loving relationship gives a man, like the security it gives to make the exploration of like, hey, I'm not who I want to be so possible, like, and I think that rings true for me when you're talking about that, is like they're so great and you're being like, oh, I need to be better in order to deserve this, but at the same time they really love me, so there must be something here. So it gives this like psychological freedom to explore being wrong or needing to change. And I think I hear some of that in what you're saying there. And what's funny is that pause that you were just talking about. I wanted to bring up a video that I watched of yours with the end of the 2025 season. The with one of your sons or one of your kids. I couldn't tell, they were all dressed up, but like skied off onto the rocks, like basically finished off the end of the season, last run of the season. You guys both ski down on onto the wood, and he comes screaming down and skips by his brother and just straight onto the rocks. And like, and I listened to your swing of emotion, like in that video of your like, you went straight to like, oh, what, oh man, like, how bad that is for the skis, and then like, you okay, man, and I just like, I felt that of the immediate like, what the hell are you doing, like what, and then how quickly you were able to pause and come back to the real important thing, like, are you okay? And I assume that that's been a bit of a journey, and it sounds like it has.
Yeah, for sure it has. But yeah, I know exactly the moment here, and I post videos occasionally where I know that like my tone or reaction isn't like textbook or what are the ideal, like I try to keep it real, and
Yeah.
my middle a middle child is usually good at helping you keep it real.
Dude, that middle child. I mean, he's my second. I have four, so we had and you have boys and girls.
Yeah, boy, like 12, 10-year-old boy, and then a 7-year-old girl.
Okay, 7-year-old girl. Okay, so we've got almost the same. We've got 13-year-old boy, 9-year-old boy, but not a girl. I have a 6-year-old boy, and then I have a 2-year-old boy. So we just added another one at the end there. Um, but but yeah, that second, it's there's some special interactions that happen where you're just like, bro, what are you doing?
Birth order is fascinating. I mean, I'm not one to only live in rigid boxes or whatnot, but there's like trends exist, and birth order is one of them. I feel like maybe 80% of the time there's just like some pretty archetype. I think in like archetypes sometimes, right? And
Sure.
I mean, you can individually break out of those at any point, since we're free to do that as people. But
Why do you think you don't live in rigid boxes? Because I also don't, but I see a lot of people who really struggle with not living in rigid boxes. So why is it you think you don't live in a rigid box?
well, to clarify, I feel like there's, I don't know, my framing for life and making sense or meaning of this journey. There is a time and place for some black and whiteness, but I don't know. I just feel like in philosophy or in that there's almost always exceptions, or like both can exist, if that makes sense. So depending on how or what I'm framing or looking at, like, I don't know, like I do sort of believe in an objective moral right and wrong, but I'm not religious, and so that's fairly black and white. I believe that, but at the same time, humans are having a subjective experience, and I don't want to go too deep and too philosophical here, but
Why not? Go for it.
yeah, I mean, I'm probably a little rusty on articulating this, so just yeah,
Well,
that's my one reason why.
Well, it's so interesting for me because, like, I also am not religious, but I am actually probably, it sounds a little bit like I'm a little bit more open to the idea of that being quite real, and beyond a subjective experience and something that is a higher power. So, like, I have a very similar view on it all. It's like I'm open to the Lord being a real thing, or whatever particular religion being maybe correct. Like, I think that could be the case with so many people having such profound experiences. Obviously, there's some subsets where I'm like, that's just terrible for anyone participating in it. But at the same time, I if I asked you, were you open to that, other people's subjective reality being the reality. Is that a thing that you would say yes or no to, or would you say you're kind of a little bit more, like you said, black and white on like you think that is another person's personal experience and a subjective reality, not the reality?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, fair,
Yeah.
and that's a fair answer. You don't need to answer it.
Yeah. I don't want to just give you some mumble jumble right now.
It's good. Well, I'd love to hear you think about that for a while, and give me an answer at some point in time. That'd be fun. Um, your kids do pretty extreme stuff. They ski. I mean, I don't think it's that extreme. I think it's what kids should be doing. but by the normal narrative, they're jumping off cliffs, they're doing flips, they're like skiing hardcore, they're climbing trees, they're doing all this stuff. Is this something you set out from the very beginning? Be like, my kids are going to do this, or is this just like how it happened?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I think our environment, constant like leads to that. It's conducive to that. Our values as parents and our perspective we have of how important movement and play is the work of the child. So we instead of when a toddler is standing up on their high chair or like doing that risky move. I mean, it's all about age appropriateness. I think there is again, and there's a sort of nuance to some of these things where it's like I still care about my kids' safety. I don't want them to get hurt, but ironically, if they develop their proprioception and their own kinetic awareness in their environment, and they kind of have smaller falls and bumble. I mean, I think of like just a 1-year-old learning to walk.
Yeah.
They fall on their butt, and it kind of like it gives them feedback of, and sometimes it hurts, and sometimes they cry, and sometimes they don't, and it's like there's just progressions on that of like learning how to fall and how it's all just part of like and then this adventure of being human and this life. It's just like I just believe in you want to use your body,
Yeah.
you want to be able to experiment and push it, and
Yeah.
again, I think there's some limits to it. I'm not, it's not reckless abandonment, but I think kids are safer and stronger and more capable and confident when you actually allow them to navigate risk from an early stage in an age appropriate way.
Absolutely. And I think it's age appropriate and child appropriate. So depending on who they are, they're going to be have a different level of connection.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know that I used to say, so like part of the forest school philosophy is like really embracing risky play. If there's 10 kids that are going to like climb a tree, 2 of them might go to the top. 6 of them might hang out in the middle somewhere, and 2 or 3 of them like might stay on the ground or like go a foot off. And like we need the gambit. Like
Yeah.
what I don't like in school, like a lot of times teachers or adults who are involved in a lot of childhood programming of any type, it's sort of like get down from there, like that's dangerous, and I get it if there's all sorts of restraints, but most adults have a lot of discomfort with kids taking risk, and I can empathize if they don't know the child or whatnot, and you
Sure.
you're trying to coach and teach to the lowest denominator. But again, I think we do harm as a society, as the village. The village is doing harm if we're constantly like, hey, get down there, that's dangerous. And, what
Sure.
are you doing? You're kind of chastising kids from being kids instead of like, hey, how do you feel up there? Do you have a plan? Hey, I'm here if you need you. Like there's a lot of like supportive ways to still be there and be present and to coach and to mentor and to kind of check in and to watch instead of just like right away shutting it down.
Right. And I think that a lot of people, when they watch your stuff online, they haven't seen the progressive nature of how your kid has built the confidence to do what they do. All they see is the action. And then they see their kid and they go, nah, my kid would die if they did that. And they're not recognizing that your child has spent years of tiny falls on much smaller things, building the confidence and proprioception and all the stuff to where what they're doing makes total sense. And the truth is that if their kid did try that, they might die because you've protected them the entire time and you haven't given them a foundation to do that. And I think that that's a lot of what's missed in these online conversations and like single clips and people being like, that's reckless. And you're like, it's not reckless if you pay attention. And I love what you were saying there of like allowing them to make the mistakes much earlier on. And if anyone follows either of our content, they'll know that we both believe exactly that same thing. But I think the thing that I always take it back to is like risk is always there, no matter what's going on. So there's always going to be risk, and the potential for accidents is always possible. And if you have a less capable person, an accident is more likely going to hurt them than a more capable person. and you can think about this in the world of like fitness and lifestyle and health, if you are more healthy and more fit and all these other things, even kinetic injuries do less to you than if you are less. So accidents are less impactful on you. Or when you get sick, you fail to a place of greater health because you're further in the realm of being more healthy. So these people who are I watched that Biggest Loser documentary on Netflix, and one of the guys was like, Bob Harper had a heart attack, and if he had a heart attack at being so fit, then why should I even spend my time trying to get healthy? And I'm like, dude, the reason he survived was because he had such amount of capacity that he did. Accidents can happen to anyone. So if we build ourselves on the front side, if we take our kids and make them resilient, when life happens, they're better off. We're hurting our children by not allowing them to build this resiliency, in my perspective. And I love that about what you do, Erich.
And you made me think one facet of this is that how we speak to our kids breathes life into them. Like, I'm sure you're familiar with that. This idea of like our especially like a paternal fatherhood's voice in our young boys. And so if we believe they can, they believe they can. If we see them and speak into them that they are capable and competent human beings, that is how they are going to like approach their world and their life. There was a tribe somewhere where an anthropologist was studying some indigenous peoples, and there was like a hole like nearby where these like toddlers and kids were like walking by this hole. And in the West, our society and culture would have like roped it off, flagged it off, put a barricade there. And this Westerner was sort of like, hey, like what, like aren't you worried that this kid's gonna fall down this bank or hole? And I don't know, it probably wasn't even like deadly, but it was just like all the elders and adults of the tribe were just like, no, like they know that if they get too close to that, they might slip and fall down it, and they just like operate as a village that in that way, and it's just profoundly different.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, and it's what I not struggle with, but what I'm bummed for is when you see a mismatch in parents' values on that, and maybe that like that's what I don't know. It sounds like you and your wife are pretty aligned on your values around that. For me, my wife and I are very aligned on it, but I know a lot of mismatched parents where the mother or the father will be more accident,
More anxious.
Yeah, more anxious. They're more like anxious around stuff that happens, and it's instilling. So one parent's being like, "No, let him," and the other parent's being like, like around him and following him and making the things, and I'm like, that would be so hard to navigate. I wonder what would be the most effective way to navigate that relationship. To like, is it showing them our content? Is it having? I mean, that to me would be a really good place for something like marriage counseling or like group dual therapy, where you get a neutral third party who can speak a little bit more objectively to it because they're not emotionally tied to it. I don't know. I think that would be where I'd probably go.
Yeah, there's a play researcher in British Columbia on the coast here in Vancouver that's like, her whole thing is like the science of play and the importance of risky play. So if somebody's more left-brained and like needs that like there's academia like just backing this up on a physical, psychological level, emotional level. And I don't have the solution for those couples or whatever, but I do know you don't want, and it's easier said than done, but you don't want anxiety to be leading the parenting decision. You don't want the emotion to show you what's calling the shots or acting from that place. It can inform you. You can own it. You can feel it. You can still recognize that, hey, you're feeling, you can let your kid know you're feeling anxious about it, but try not to like dump or project that onto them, because that doesn't have to be that way. That, again, I'm not a therapist or a coach to be able to maybe know the answer, but I know what the answer is not.
Yeah. And I think that actually, for me, when I reflect on that, I go like, is this it? And it was kind of like recent to something that I put out, but it was like, is this for me or is it for them? Like, am I helping myself by making myself less anxious by doing this? Or do I actually think this is the best choice for them? And if I unpack it to its like end state, is this the best for them? And I think my recent thing was on screens around that, is like, am I giving them a screen for me or am I giving it to them for them? If I think I'm giving it to them for them, is it really impacting them and making them the way I want them to be, like giving them the thing that I wanted to give them, whatever it might be. And I think that guiding principle is a good one. Is being like, I'm anxious right now. Why am I anxious? Is it about me? Is it actually about them? Are they actually in danger? Like, I think these reflective natures are. It sounds like you and I both have this as like we have this process that we go through, but I wonder how we could get fathers who don't have this like reflective kind of introspective nature to be more introspective. Is it just providing the example? Like, this is you're hearing me ask you questions because I don't know these answers. Like, I'm like, this is what I think about, man.
Yeah, I don't either. Other than surround yourself with, people of like mind, or of people that you want to be like, and have conversations and learn from, right?
Yeah, I get it. I guess that's what it is. Hey, I have a question for you. Have any of your kids done the exact opposite of what you want when it comes to like the activity? So like, you're a skier, clearly. Have any of them gone, "Hey, Dad, I want to be a snowboarder"? Has that happened yet to you?
Our oldest has expressed the most of an interest in snowboarding, and it's probably gone 5 or 6 times now. Kind of like 2 times a year, the last year or two, in the spring, sort of the time. Um, I have no problem with yes. I guess, again, especially, I want to say age appropriate autonomy, but I do think that there's this, like, as my 13-year-old looks at me and says, "Dad, I don't want to do this sport anymore," it's like I'm kind of honoring that. Whereas, like, and not that I don't honor it when it's a 7 or 8-year-old, but there's a little, I think, a little bit more nudging goes on in the earlier years, and then there's a little bit more. At least that's how we do it.
Wait, how dare you make a decision for a 7-year-old? How dare you? You son of a gun, Erich.
A bit of a pretentious issue among some
It's
parents.
not a pretentious issue. It's so dumb. We're parents. Like, that's what it's for. Like, we've lived the lives. We put the boundaries. Like,
Agreed.
as long as we're being intentional with it all and focusing on it and seeing if the outcomes are good, like in terms of making them great people. Dude, I am fascinated by people's stubbornness around, like, or not even stubbornness, this overly free. It's like, nah, whatever they want. I'm like, are you kidding me? You name one person who does whatever they want who's not lost. It's like any human being, an adult, you give adult 50 decisions, they're screwed. Like, a quote that I heard recently in a Mark Manson video is the freedom of a lack of choice. And I was like, and I'm not saying provide no choice, but if you have less options, there's a lot of freedom in that. If you're like, well, I got to push this boulder up the hill, and you accept that as what you're doing, you're like, okay, I'm going to figure out the best damn way to push this boulder up the hill, or whatever it is. Or like, where do you want to eat tonight? If you give your kid, here's 2 choices, not like anywhere or whatever it is, or your wife, like, hey, where do you want to eat? It never works out. Anyway, I think I'm preaching to the choir here.
No, I agree. I agree fully. Sure.
It's such a fascinating world we find ourselves in. Yeah, my second son, or my oldest son, actually, he's the one who bucks the most to the things. I was like, hey, you want to, like, I've snowboarded my whole life. I skied when I first started, and I was like, oh, let's go snowboarding. And he's like, I'd like to ski. And I was like, okay. And same thing. Like, I don't care at all. Like, if he's having fun, that's awesome. Will I like heckle him about it and it's like nerd or something like that? Sure. Like, but it's not serious. And if like my second son, though, he's a little bit more like, hey, Dad, I'd like to try snowboarding. And I'm like, oh, sweet, dude. But they charge and they send it, and I'm totally cool with them bucking it. I've always seen these like kind of stereotypical movie fathers where it's like, you're gonna play baseball and you're gonna play football, and that's it. And you're like, okay. See how that one pans out for you, and their joy for that, big guy.
We believe in trying to give our kids a wide experience, like introducing them to a wide amount of different activities and sports, especially extracurriculars.
Right.
And we're kind of okay signing them up for multiple ones at the same time because they don't go to school.
Right.
If our kids were sent to school Monday to Friday, I think I'd have a hard time. I know my wife would, harder to sort of like book up their afternoons or evenings after school hours,
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. What was I going to say on that? Well, we can jump into unschooling. Like, so you unschool, and there's many different definitions of what exactly that is. In a lot of people's worlds, that exists as very different things. So I'm curious for your family, what does unschooling look like?
Just preserving that intrinsic motivation, that intrinsic sponginess that all our toddlers come with. They're sponges. They're little mini scientists. They're always learning. And unschooling just challenges our cultural perception of schooling being like this outside in or top down sort of framework. Um, like my metaphor is there's a time and place for structure. And for example, or like if my kids went to a funeral, it's like that's not the time to like wrestle and throw down and like be wild. It's like, hey, I expect you guys, like, let's do our best here, like let's be respectful and we're gonna be quiet. And so same thing with like educational learning. There's like maybe a sliver of time where it's like, hey, I want to teach you this thing right now, or like it would call it formal academic learning, or like this is important for you to learn. But not I think childhood doesn't really have a place for that top down curriculums are useful. I want my plumbers to have proper slope on the pipes, and our engineers to build proper bridges, but childhood shouldn't be standardized. And when the curriculum becomes the center of the education journey, I feel like you lose a lot of the wonder and joy and individuality, and crush the process of learning.
For
You
sure.
end up you end up with this regurgitative stuff. You end up with external validation. You get the gold star syndrome of like, I mean, I was a gold star student. I was an academically inclined student where I knew how to get the gold stars from my parents and teachers, and it felt good, but it wasn't me. It wasn't mine.
Sure.
And so we want to try to limit that. I don't know if I answered your question. I maybe talked about what unschooling is and more than.
Well, no, what I like is you're clearly very passionate about this, right? So like I've asked you a number of questions and you probably got the most passionate about this interaction. And I don't know if that's because you often get pushback on it, and it's like, or if it's just like this is something that wraps up your mind of like there are so many very logical reasons to unschool. Like when you look at school and you look at how it sits and you look at what unschooling is and you look at what it does to children, if you try it at all, it's profound in the types of kids you see come out of this. Now, I think that there is, like I said, there's a wide range of how this is done. And I think there's a wide range of people and kids. And I don't think any one kid fits perfectly into any one thing, but there's many ways you can go about it. But you're really passionate about it. So you did answer my question about your thoughts on it. And if I asked you kind of how you did it, though, for you, is it more just like you have no curriculum that you put them through at all? It's more just like total freedom. And if they show interest in something, you'll provide support around that? Or is there like sometimes during a day, like a piece of curriculum that you'll do?
So I chalk it up to a the best way to talk about it is like a de-emphasis on curriculum. If you
Sure.
find it, you can cherry pick curriculum. And so without trying to confuse viewers or listeners, we do participate in a local, I'm hesitant to bring it up because it's so gosh darn confusing, but it's a local online school, but it has a blended learning component, which means like an in-person
Wait,
thing.
you do school? You said unschool. You do school? What?
Exactly.
Like people are gonna love jump on that.
Yeah, and that's why like to explain it, I probably need like half an hour, right? But we basically cherry pick. We enroll in a local program for a bit of community,
Sure.
and then we like cherry pick to the displeasure of some teachers in the program,
Sure.
what works for us, and
Sure.
so we're confident enough in our resolve and in our values to sort of say, no, we're not doing that. Yep, we want to do this. Or like, yeah, we'll do this. And so
Sure.
it's just sort of like taking ownership over what your child's week looks like, day looks
Yeah.
like. But like 95% of their week and their day is very unstructured in terms of like play, or sorry, in terms of like formal homeschooling.
Education.
Yeah. Again, I believe kids are always learning, and they learn through questions and through conversation. And our kids, so reading is like a really good example, a really great one here, because it's so scary for adults to let go of this idea that a kid will show you when they're ready to read. But if you read regularly and they see you read, and reading's a part of your life, you go to like a sign, you go to a map together, you're able to like read the legend and like understand the sign, because you can read, like, the kids are gonna, like, all humans are gonna want to be a part of that process in some way, shape, or form when they're ready. And so
Right.
all two of our three kids, our 7-year-old's not reading right now. We're not worried. I think our 12-year-old was behind in reading at age 7 by far. And at age 10, he was reading all the Harry Potter books and like
Mm-hmm.
couldn't put him down. And he's like gone for 4 hours reading a book. And we just didn't force it. We weren't stressed about when it happened, how it happened. It just happens. And I think we learn best, even as adults, when we are ready and wanting, and there's purpose and meaning in learning what we want to learn.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think that the dangers that you fall into in today's world is like if you give devices, they're so engrossing that you might never seek outside that very much. And I personally, that's my perspective on it. Like we are not unschooled per se. We would refer to what we do as homeschool, but we have a very similar setup that what you're saying. We cherry pick the things that we want to do. We have a very free ability to do so. I'd say 95% of the day of every kid's day is not structured schooling, but there are a couple pieces where it's like we're going to do some English, we're going to do some math, we're going to do some history, like, and we've got curriculums that that this state in California actually funds, gives us money for it, so they pay us to homeschool our kids, which is wonderful. And then that money we can all,
How much do you get a kid?
dude, it's like $2,500 a quarter or something like that. So like, yeah, it's a lot, and we can put that towards like horseback riding and jujitsu and like anything that's within the curriculum, or like supplies for art and stuff like that. So we get pretty good.
$600 for the year.
Oh wow, that's different. Cali, Cali supports that pretty heavily. But my kids do have to do like standardized tests, and they have to meet with like a TA like once a month sort of deal. Um, but like you said, each kid's totally different. Like my 12-year-old or my 13-year-old, he crushes reading. Started when he was super young, loves it, does the whole thing. My 10-year-old, he basically, or he's 9, but he'll turn 10 soon. He just started really reading at 9, and he still struggles with it. But like, he's incredibly intelligent, and based off of all the norms, you're like, oh, I don't know, like he's struggling, and you're like, but it's okay. Like he's got, like, just like you said, he's gonna get there. He wants to read signs, he wants to read his comics, like he's gonna get there. And he's so intelligent in other ways, and it's just like, it's fascinating to watch how much of our current educational system has been centered around what we grew up in. And it's cool to see a lot of people bucking that trend to some degree and being like, look, there might be other ways to do this, and kids might get a lot more from it, because the freedom that we feel in being able to have the ability to travel and the ability to educate in specific ways. And I don't know, I think there's a dangerous slope here of being like, I just want my kids to know what I want them to know. And I think that that's where I get a little turned off by people who are like, no, they have to have my exact worldview. And you're like, gah. Like, that to me is the person who shouldn't pull your kid out of school. It should be more like you got to open your perspective. But that's my thing. We can talk about that another time. But yeah, I think I'm very lucky. It sounds like you're very lucky / you've made the decisions to be able to do this. Yeah, maybe I want to talk about that. I feel lucky to have stumbled across the way that I'm able to do this. I work from home. This is my gym and office connected to my house. I live in 5 acres in the mountains. It is not cheap, and I work like 5 jobs, and I work my ass off, and it's been 20 years in the same industry, but it's like, I feel like that's lucky that I still found a partner to do what I want, and I'm in this situation where I can, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. You have a different story. You live in a different place and have done different things. So would you say it's luck, or would you say this is choice for you?
Oh, I mean, I think my cop-out answer is both. Like,
That's
there's
fine.
obviously there's obviously factors and opportunity. I mean, I feel like I won the life lottery being a middle-class Canadian. Like, I really, like, it's just an
Sure.
incredible nation with all sorts of amazing natural wonders and like the outdoor. I mean, the U.S. has that as well. I mean, and I'm sure the whole world does when you think about it. But
Sure.
just, I don't know, I win the lottery because I had 2 loving parents that stayed together, and like, I don't know, like there's all sorts of like things that are outside of my control. And then, yeah, I think 50% of it or more is like, what are you choosing to do with the opportunities you have or the
Sure.
money you make? And like, we have a lot of agency and power to make things happen. And I
Yeah.
mean, we have a goal or a direction or a vision. I don't know what you want to call it, but like when you have a vision in your life and you want to like move towards it, and like moving towards it imperfectly is I mean, I'm sure like you're pivoting. I mean, I'm super like one thing I'm grateful for, and this is like getting a little bit more traditional, but like I'm happy that I retired my wife. I say that in the sense of like, she was working and getting mat like we needed the amount of money for her to have maternity leave, and so in between kids, she had to go take teaching contracts, and get enough hours to then like be home for another 12 months or whatever at $400 a week. Right, this was like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and so I got a big boy. I became a paramedic, and then I also started doing that mountain life, making videos to like run a business and work a day job. And so I work two jobs so that she doesn't have to work one outside of the home, so our kids have her. And I'm just so grateful for it all. And like, I mean, that was intentional. That was like, hey, Eric, kind of like try to make more money, and get your butt so that Courtney doesn't have to leave the house. And her instincts were like, the kids need me, the kids want me. So like, no matter what, that's what we were doing. Like, within reason. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that was a cop out answer. I think that was a very fair answer. I think it was great. Do you have any thoughts on if someone, and actually, you know what? I'm going to distill it down for you because you just kind of said it. The thing that we all have, I think the real luck would be the belief in that, the fact that you have agency. And if I could say anything here to anyone listening who feels like they don't have agency, like that mental framework of having an internal locus of control versus an external locus of control, like basically believing that you have control over your actions to some degree or your responses to things versus the world is happening to you is one of the greatest starting points of anything in terms of feeling better about your life. That's a bold statement, but based off of everything that you're saying, I do feel that, the reality is we're not all in the same situation. We're not all, I mean, I are both straight white men. We have a lot that was given to us just straight through that, but at the same time, like there's a lot of straight white men who are not taking the same level of agency with the things that they do. And you had two parents who stayed together. My parents split up, but I still had two loving parents. It's like a win. Take the wins where you can get them. And some people had this huge heap of no wins, like none, not a single one. But their first win could be like, I believe I have agency, and go from there. So, yeah, I can't speak to everything, but I'm excited you said that, and I appreciate your perspective on it all. We're coming up on close to the end of this. Don't want to keep you for too long, my friend. Why did you start? Oh, so it sounds like you started your account, That Mountain Life, as a potential like side hustle to some degree of like, let's put this out there. Like, was that the intention when you started it?
There was multiple reasons. Are you familiar with Gary Vee?
I am familiar with Gary Vee.
His content and concept of like document, don't create, and everything is content was sort of the catalyst of like, and he also says like no one's gonna watch your stuff for the first year or two, like it's who you become along the journey of making. So there was like I don't know, I just feel like I had a pretty good approach or mindset and understanding of like what it might take. I wanted, like, it was fun to learn a new skill. So like making videos, telling a story through videos, capturing the action, that was new to me. I learned on YouTube, but I also, if nobody was going to watch, there would be some cool memories that like our friends and family could check out, or we get to have as parents, kids, so there's like those reasons. You get to learn a new skill, have the memories, and then maybe it'll take off. Maybe I can make a little bit of extra money. And so I think having multiple reasons like that makes it really strong. And I made videos for 2 years and nobody really watched them. I think I was at 3,000 followers on Instagram. And in 2 years, I made a lot of videos that not many people watched, but I ended up with a workflow. And like, I had like my spare batteries, my micro SD card, my camera, I don't know, just like my stick, my setup, like how I was doing it all. And then, there was a hockey dad, probably 5 years before I started making videos that I saw like a CBC feel good story where he mic'd up this 4-year-old on a hockey rink, and this kid was like mumbling about McDonald's and chicken nuggets and like ignoring the coach. He's just a bit of a space cadet, doing what a 4-year-old probably should do at a hockey practice for the most part.
Sure.
And it was just like really funny. And I just thought, I was like, oh, like, is there a way to get a Bluetooth mic with my GoPro and my action camera? And I could like capture this audio because I knew my daughter was like mumbling and monologuing and talking to herself. And it popped off because of that. The internet loved it. We went from like 3,000 followers to 120,000 followers in a month. It was just like organic virality on Instagram.
When was that?
It was like 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, 5 years ago. 5 years ago. My daughter's 7, and she was 2. She was 2 when it happened, so it was only 5 years ago. I started making content 7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, and then you've continued.
Yeah. Kind of took me a year to like figure out how to even maybe treat it like a business and what to do with it. I thought like if you had 100,000 followers, money would just land on your lap, but nope, that doesn't happen. I mean, you would know that. I think you're at 100K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats, by the way. It's great. And so it took me a year to adjust, and then like another year to start, figuring out. And then like I'd say 2 years ago, I was kind of making the most, and I took my foot off the gas. When we had the acreage, we got the acreage for hobby homesteading. It is hard to add the layer of filming and telling story while I'm trying to figure out how to butcher pigs for the first time.
Oh, I know. I know.
I just. And so what's interesting is we're 3 weeks away from ski season starting up here again, and like the reason I was put on this earth might have been to just teach my kids how to ski, and I know that's a pretty like narrow reason or narrow I don't know goal or feat, but
sure.
I was born to like share my love of the mountains with my kids. That's probably a more broader, accurate way to. So
sure.
whether we're rafting down the river, camping at a campground, or going on a hike, I just love, and I was an outdoor educator before. I was a camp counselor. Like I loved seeing youth grow through the outdoor, the challenges that the outdoors has, and the wonder and amazingness and awness that is the outdoors and nature. And so combined my parental role and my love of skiing, and then like little Groms ripping around the mat. It was just like, it was just a recipe. The recipe was there. Like, it was just who I am. I didn't have to change or pretend or be anyone. That I was just like, I'm a passionate dad who loves skiing. I love spending time with my kids, and getting outside and using your body is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so kids, this is our lifestyle. This is what we're doing, and I'm going to film it.
Hell yeah.
So,
and what do you say to people who are like, don't put your kids on the internet? Bah.
Yeah. I can understand and sympathize. Like, I see their perspective and understand it. It's also, I don't know, it's the world we live in. There's risks in everything we do. I ultimately control what I share of them.
Sure.
I don't know. I think if I was gonna not do if I was gonna not do that, we would have to like almost be completely offline. Where like I don't even know if I would have like a online bank account or have any personal information of me online. Like, I'd almost want to be a Luddite in the mountains if I was gonna try to like be.
But you've already done it, so it's already out there. So
yeah. But it's just like even personal Facebook stuff and like other like I'm saying, like if you're gonna not do it or participate in, then it's like I would probably not do it. Instead of like, I don't know, like
I understand. I'm with similar to you, and I think that people are really narrow minded when they're like, I mean, even I get friends who are like, yeah, I don't want to try to use AI because I'm worried it's going to take my voice or my likeness or my thoughts. And I'm like, you realize you've had a phone for the last 10 years and you've taken photos on it and put all of your stuff like it's not like you're not completely recorded everywhere. It's not like what illusion of privacy do you think you have right now when it comes to the electronics that you've used? I do understand it. Just like you said, like I can empathize with it. And I think that there's people who use it really manipulatively. Like I think people extort their children with it. And it's like you watch it and you're like, this is inappropriate, like in so many ways.
There's a nuance there where like you can there's another family, there's a great snowboarder family, Chasing Sage out of Washington. They're like a snowboarder version of us as a family, and they're great. And I've networked with probably 3 other families that are doing like snowboarder ski content, pretty full on in the winter seasons. And like they're just great families, and their parents are awesome, and they are like not exploiting their kids, even though it's like family content.
Sure.
And yeah, and I guess you like there's a shadow side to everything. I kind of
Sure.
like thinking about term, and so yes, there is a shadow side that exists that like a parent could be manipulating and exploiting, and like you can pick up on some. I mean, like the modeling industry kind of comes to me. I mean, you have like young girls getting
Yeah.
called up and like
Dance
like
moms.
their beauty is what they're and like it's just like I don't know like there's definitely some it's not black and white. There's some gray that exists out there, and I'm not just trying to tell myself that to feel better. I feel like there's a risk to what I do. Sure, there's a risk to putting my kids online, and there's also a benefit and a reward. There's
Sure.
lifestyle opportunities, travel, financial for like the family business kind of thing. The kids
Yeah.
get to benefit from that, put some money aside for them. Um, there's the impact, the social impact. There's networking with like fathers like you, and then the followers and the people that have just said, "Hey, I want to thank you. You've helped me be a better dad." Like
Yeah.
it's just like okay, so. The haters and the people are saying, "Hey, you're using your kids and you're exploiting them." It's like that. What you're doing is bad and wrong. And it's just like, well, my inbox is telling me otherwise as well,
Sure.
right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you, maybe you have. I'm actually very curious. Have you ever thrown a hateful comment out? Like, have you ever gone onto someone else's page and like been like, "You suck. This sucks."
no,
Right. So that's my point. Like, people who are doing good don't do that. You don't do, even if you disagree with it. What is a comment gonna do? Like, what do you think you're changing? What lever do you think you're pulling? Like, you're expressing your own internal stuff. Like, this idea, I don't know. I think it's fully performative. I know a lot of it's fake. I know there's like bots and stuff like that, but I think this outrage and these people who go online and comment and not DM, not like, "Hey, I have a question about why you do this," but like comment. It's like, I think it's just performative. I see no value in it. I don't think it changes the world in any way. It just shows the creator that you're kind of a turd and you're going through something, and that's
yeah,
all I
you
think.
help boost their views a bit.
You do, yeah. So feel free to keep throwing the hate our way, is what we're trying to say, guys. Like, send it down. Yeah, I vowed to never reply. Like, occasionally I'll reply. Like, you and I had this interaction where we were chatting about it, but like occasionally I'll reply with questions. Like, when someone says something that's just ridiculous, I'll just reply with a question, and be like, "Do you really think that? Please explain like how that works in your mind." You know?
One, are you familiar with the feature like on Instagram? I don't know if TikTok does it, but you can like have keywords just get blocked or not even show up as a comment. So like,
No.
I think I put the word like exploit or exploiting in there, and then that way the comment just doesn't even show up if
Oh,
somebody
nice.
that wants to come. I
I
mean,
like it.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I like it.
I've had some aggressive. I don't know if they were Jehovah Witness or somebody was coming after me for like child slave, like being a
Oh,
child enslavement or like
yeah.
child work, and then
Yeah.
it's like I
Mhm.
just found a mom the other day who's just like who really just helped me flip the script about like how like children are wired to want to work and contribute. Like obviously I'm not talking about 12-hour days in a coal mine or something, but like
No, you're going
just
skiing.
yeah, but even the idea of like a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old helping grandpa in the fields, his
Oh,
farm or the garden, it's like it's not that's not child labor. Like, but it's a
sure.
child labor. It's a child working, and it's like, so there's this like reframe I've just recently had on like I've always intuitively known it to be okay and right and true. It's like kids want to be part of
Right.
the village. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. Um, I don't want to take your entire day. I know you got a lot of stuff that you do. So is there anything you want to leave anybody with, comment wise or thoughts wise, after this conversation? And no is totally fine.
Uh, just something that I've been meditating on, thinking on lately is moving forward imperfectly. So if you have a strain in your relationship with your wife, with your kids, with money, with anything, just start moving, make a decision and go. And it's I think usually works out better than decision paralysis and waiting till you have all the information or all the perfect plan laid out. You can
Yeah.
start taking action today and
Yeah.
and move in the direction you want to go. Have the vision, and that's more important than having all the details lined out.
Yeah. I think that is about as profound information as you could get, guys. If you want to do anything, action is the only Like literally the only way that it happens. If you can think about it all you want, but action and steps and be imperfect and make mistakes, and own that shit. That's awesome. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, where can people find you?
That Mountain Life on YouTube is sort of the platform I want to grow the most. Instagram, and you can kind of find me on TikTok too, but I did just lose my account for.
Yeah, I heard that. What happened there?
Too many community guideline strikes for child endangerment. So if you post it to like extreme sports, I had strikes over the years, and then I would like appeal them. Sometimes they got reversed, and then sometimes they didn't, and I didn't realize that it was actually like cumulative over all the years, and eventually it was just like, yeah, your account's gone.
Whoa.
Okay, there's 700,000 followers gone. So
wild. Well, we'll look for you on those other two platforms, mainly YouTube, because it's way better, and everybody knows that longer form content means a lot more, and you're actually paying attention, and you're actually part of something. Well, thank you, Erich. I'm gonna stop this recording.